thank you for staying with us. Joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Honorable Kingsley Akumefule. Honorable Kingsley is a political analyst and a regular on Open Conversation. Good morning, Honorable Kingsley,
Good morning,
and welcome.
Laurentia. Good morning, Nigeria.
And on to the story. Governor Simlaye Fubara of Rivers State has stated that his government will implement the recent Supreme Court judgment on the state's lingering political crisis without reservation. Fubara said that although his government disagrees with the judgment, they are bound to obey it as a law-abiding administration. ATN reports that the Appellate Court had ruled that funds would be released to Fubara's government only when a lawful appropriation law is enacted under the Martin Amehule speakership. In the judgment delivered on Friday by Justice Emmanuel Akomaye again, the Supreme Court also ordered the 27 members of the Rivers State House of Assembly to resume their functions immediately. Reacting to the ruling, Fubara directed the head of administration to take over the management of local government affairs in the state until the next council elections are held. The governor said, "We are all aware of the Supreme Court's judgment and pronouncement regarding the lingering political crisis in our dear state. Although we disagree with the judgment, we are bound to obey it as a law-abiding government. We have conducted the affairs of our government within the framework of our Constitution and the rule of law. While we are not above mistakes because we are human, we have not, as a government, trampled on the rule of law. I have had a meeting with my team of lawyers, and they assured me that the certified true copy of the judgment may be available to me on Friday. I assure you that upon its receipt, we will implement the judgment without any reservation to move the state forward." The governor also announced that heads of local government administration have been instructed to take over the administration of the 23 local government areas in the state. He said, "Furthermore, given the outlawing of caretaker arrangements in the local government system, I hereby direct the heads of local government administration to immediately take over the administration of 23 local government councils, pending the conduct of fresh elections by the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission. I further direct the outgoing local government chairman to formally hand over the levers of power to the heads of local government administration by Monday, 3rd March 2025. Honorable Kingsley Akumefule, what do you make of this development?
Yes, thank you. First and foremost, I think that let me thank the learned jurist for actually doing the right thing in that judgment. We had looked up to them for doing what they just did, and I'm very grateful that they touched the hearts of Nigerians by that judgment. First, the governor saying that he will obey that judgment. He doesn't have an option. He doesn't have an option. It is a judgment of the Supreme Court. So all those conflicting statements, because a lot of the statements he made were very conflicting and very unruly.
What do you mean when you say unruly?
Yes. First, you said you disagree with the judgment of the Supreme Court. You don't have option. You don't even have the right to say you disagree with the judgment of the Supreme Court. The judgment has come, and you must take it the way it is. You don't tell Nigerians that you disagree. Now, having disagreed with the judgment, and you still went further to say you are going to study the judgment after your lawyers must have gotten the certified true copy. Yet you still said you are going to obey. These statements are very conflicting, and I think that these are very wrong things to be said by a governor that was democratically elected and confirmed by the same Supreme Court that he said he disagreed with their judgment. That was very unruly of him. Now, secondly, for a governor of a state who have heard, in fact, he was in the court, whether he was there directly or through his legal team, now tells Nigeria that he is going to study again before he understands what the judgment has said. For me, it was also wrong. Another mistake he has also made, whether knowingly or unknowingly, is when he asks the HLGS to take over the leadership of the local government areas. It was wrong of him.
What should he have done?
As by the virtue of that judgment, the judgment has recognized Martin Zamehule as the Speaker of the River State House of Assembly. It therefore means that every laws that have been made by Martin Zamehule and his team were legal, acceptable, and right.
Okay.
And so, before now, Martin Zamehule and his other members have extended the tenure of the local government chairman for 6 months.
All right.
And remember that the runnings of local government are under the supervision and the supervision of the state assemblies. And now, if the state assembly led by Martin Zamehule had made a law and said, because the governor did not follow the laid down rules by the electoral laws, by fixing the local government election, and for that reason, rather than allowing the government to run without leadership, they extended the tenure of the former local government chairman. And that should have been the position of the law, because the Supreme Court recognized Martin Zamehule as the authentic speaker.
Now, one would say that that tenure was extended. It was supposed to expire December, correct?
They have not resumed office.
Okay.
It was when they have resumed office, they've not been allowed to run.
Okay. So you're saying that they have to expend that tenure?
That is sure, because it was the legally constituted assembly led by Martin Zamehule that made that law.
Okay.
And because that law was not obeyed as at the time the law was made, and the governor brought in this illegal local government area chairman. And now also directing this illegality in the place of this local government chairman to hand over. What are they even going to hand over? When ab initio they were illegal. So they do not even have the right to hand over anything to anybody. And the HLGS are not even supposed to take over leadership by virtue of those laws that were made by this assembly. As at the time the governor allowed them to sit. They made these laws. So I think that the governor is he didn't do what is right and should obey this judgment to the letter. If he had agreed that he's going to obey this judgment, he should obey it to the letter. He should the obedience to this judgment should not be discretionary. He shouldn't obey the ones he like and disobey the ones he doesn't like.
But in his statement so far, he has not said he will not obey the judgment.
By the actions he has taken so far, it means that he's not obeying to the letter. The actions
he has taken so far, one will interpret it as obeying judgment of the Supreme Court. Supreme Court had sacked the local government chairman, and he had told them to cease to operate in that capacity. And he said, hand over to heads of local government administration.
What are they handing over
now,
to?
the question would be, the one would say, the issue surrounding the outgone local government chairman, was it among the matters that were discussed or handled by the Supreme Court? But you are saying, on the other hand, that Supreme Court had authenticated Martin Zamehule, therefore all the laws made by Martin Zamehule is binding on the government, which includes bringing back this outgone local government chairman. Is that what you're saying?
That's what I said.
Interesting. But then when you also, so in your opinion, Honorable Kingsley, if I may ask you, in your opinion, you do not see the statement of the governor as being genuine?
It's not genuine, because like I said, there are so conflicting statements in all he has said. First, he said he disagreed with the judgment. He went further to say, I am going to obey the judgment. He also said again that on Friday, likely, his lawyers would get the certified true copy of that judgment. And it is only when they get the judgment and they study the judgment they cannot also take decision. These statements are conflicting. First, I will obey. Now, when I look at the certified true copy, I will not take decision. Which decision is he taking? The one he has already started taking, or the one he wants to take? These are two conflicting issues.
He said when he looks at the certified true copy, he will implement.
So what is it? The one he has already said. What is implementation and taking decision? It's the same thing.
Now, let us look at, because I thought you probably would have gone to what Joe Johnson said earlier, right, when the Supreme Court judgment came out. Joe Johnson, when he was addressing the press, said that while they have been intimated of the Supreme Court judgment, and they are still studying the implications of the Supreme Court judgment, and he also said that the Rivers State government acknowledges the Supreme Court judgment. However, that the matter of defection of the 27 lawmakers is still at the Rivers State High Court. Is still at the Federal High Court in Rivers State, sitting in Rivers State. So one would say, going by the statement of the Commissioner for Information, does it mean that the Rivers State government accepts the Supreme Court judgment? However, that of the matter that is at the Federal High Court in Rivers State, they are hoping for some level of respite from there.
You see, the truth is, I deliberately avoided that area because it was not part of the questions you asked me. And again, I also felt that the Honorable Commissioner for Information, I wouldn't sit here to know if he was part of those that the Martin Samuel screen that confirmed, or is part of the ones that the illegal assembly confirmed. So however it is, Joe, by his statement, was trying to fool Rivers people. Fooling Rivers people in the sense that he's telling people that there is a matter in the High Court, that the matter of the speakership has not been handled. That was wrong. That was wrong. First, remember that this matter in High Court was supposed to come up sometime last month, and the judge decided to wait.
It came up actually.
Yes,
and the judge postponed it to April 30th
because of the Supreme Court judgment. Now, if that judge, in his wisdom, could allow the time pending when the Supreme Court will give judgment, he was not stupid. He therefore means that he is aware that matter was part of the matters in the Supreme Court, because the appeal court gave a judgment on this matter, and the governor appealed it in Supreme Court, and Supreme Court in their wisdom decided to put all these matters, about 5 of these matters, together to consolidate them and give judgment at the same time. And part of the judgment they gave was about the speakership of Martin Samuel. And somebody is still telling us, referring us to a matter in the High Court. I don't know how he thinks he can fool everybody at the same time. That was wrong. I deliberately didn't even want to talk about that, because talking about that means that he, the commissioner, in quote, knows that he is not even right. For even this morning, I told you that while I was coming, I was listening to him. I didn't even want to talk about that matter. I wanted to call in, but for me, calling in means nothing to me. Why would a commissioner who, by virtue of his position, whatever he says is seen to be the position of the governor, will come to the fore and be telling people that there is still a matter? Who told him about that? How sure is he that there is still a substantive matter concerning the legality or illegality of the speakership of Rivers House of Assembly, when even the judge himself had decided to wait pending the judgment of the Supreme Court? Is he not telling us that the judge was not wise enough or doesn't know the law before he decided to wait until the judgment of the Supreme Court? And he should also remember that that same matter traveled up to appeal court. The appeal court gave a judgment on this matter, and then the Supreme Court decided to now put all these matters together and get that judgment. And somebody is still telling us that there is a matter. Anyway, in politics, it is not wrong to give hope to your people. Of course, when you don't give hope to your people, it means that the people will scatter. The Bible says when you strike the sheep, the shepherd,
the sheep will scatter.
When you strike the shepherd, the sheep scatters. So they don't want to scatter their sheep. And that is the reason why they are still giving them hope. And of course, even the Bible says hope does not disappoint. They can keep giving them hope. That is politics for you. Because if you don't give that hope, it means that your followership may at a time begin to have some failed what's it called?
Begin to dwindle.
And they will dwindle, definitely.
All right, very well. Also joining me on Open Conversation this morning is Daniel Momo, a political analyst and also a regular on Open Conversation. Good morning, Daniel, and welcome.
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
All right, Daniel, I want to hear your take on this story.
Yes, on the implementation of the Supreme Court judgment. The Supreme Court judgment is a law. You're only going to do yourself a favor to say you're implementing it. What that you implement or not, it has become a law.
Okay.
And you see, the idea that we will now give a time for a local government chairman to hand over is disrespectful to the Supreme Court. If you remember the former Bauchi State governor, what's his name again? He went to IBB's house to greet him there. The one in whether it was the APP, ANPP or something they call that party.
Okay.
He was in IBB's house when the Supreme Court gave judgment and reversed and gave the governorship to another, to the person who challenged that judgment in court. At the point where Supreme Court made that judgment, the security details, everything left.
Immediately.
He ceased to be governor. He doesn't now have to now say that, when we get back to Bauchi on Monday, no. It's immediate when that pronouncement is done, even if you have not gotten the certified true copies. The security details, everything left. They left him at that occasion. And so, the idea that we'll now say the local government should go on Monday and hand over, they cease to become local government chairman immediately when Supreme Court made that judgment. It is illegal for them to even appear
in the council.
So let us do some things not because of ourselves today, but because probably tomorrow, our people, our brothers, ourselves would occupy some positions in life where what we said yesterday will not be an hindrance to what is happening to our future. That's one. Two, I think, I said something here the other day where I said if Supreme Court gave judgment, I don't know if you remember, I said there's likely going to be another judgment here in Rivers State. Probably maybe one court will just give one judgment. But I'm happy that the Supreme Court, in their wisdom, did two things for me that are clear. One is to tie the Rivers money to the apron of the legislators. So if you give any judgment, you're removing them. It's immaterial. That money stops. So the money to Rivers State now has been tied to the Martin Samehule-led House of Assembly. That whatever they now approve, spending can be done. That's one. Two, I think you also, that is why when you see crises like this, we must be careful to allow crisis go from 2023 up to date. A lot of things have happened that it is no longer easier for the government to just say hand over to. No. I stated out here that during this crisis, there were laws that have been overridden by the governor's assets. It's a law. So the idea that the governor, go and hand over, we must now begin to check what is the current, because I tried to find out the law of the Rivers State Local Government Amendment Law. I tried to find out some details. I couldn't get them. The governor needs people from his legal department to begin to interpret what was the law passed by Amehule. That is the law of Rivers State. It's no longer the previous law, where the governor now has the laxity and has all the powers to now say this is what would happen. So, in another way, there would always be crisis now because of the prolonged denial of this person's rights and privileges, and they now got to this stage. You see, if we are settled, or they are settled out of court and had this political solution to it, it will not get to this level. Now, what it means is that we have gotten to the final level in court, and so everybody follow the law. That's the meaning now. Don't try to play emotions. Don't try follow the law. The Supreme Court has said appear before these people. And I thank the governor of the state. At least whatever any of his aides has said for me is no longer, it's immaterial. I'm going to take the governor for what he has said yesterday. And in saying that, I think also, in my opinion anyway, the governor is looking for a soft landing.
Why do you say he's looking for a soft landing?
The idea that, I would implement those judgments has already given life. You're saying you implement a rule of law person. All those ones now are sentiments. Nobody buys into that anymore. Because both parties have allowed, they dragged themselves up to the Supreme Court. And now the Supreme Court are giving judgment. And so what everybody holds now is that whatever that it is, Just follow the law. And you see, the implication for me going forward, you also know that the Martin Samehule led faction, or since the Supreme Court has spoken now, it is the Rivers State House of Assembly has they also amended the local government law, which also means that, as I said, in any way there will be crisis.
Let's hear you.
Probably, maybe some people behind the scene can become middlemen to work out some amicable way to these issues, because the governor can no longer, how it used to be, to appoint the research chairman. And in any way, appointment of the research chairman will go through these guys. So pretty difficult things will happen. And if I would had a chance to advise the governor, for me, as of today, which is Monday, I will release all allowances, all salaries, everything from the time that it was seized to this moment, today. That is the law today. Those are the legitimate House of Assembly. And you see the unfortunate thing about this. You remember, I think sometime, was it in November, October, I can't remember. The seats of the Jumbo-led faction were declared vacant by Martin Samehule.
Yes, it has been. Well, I was actually going to come to them later, but go ahead.
That's the implication of when we allow ourselves to be told what the courts, okay, go and do this. Would the Jumbo and others submit themselves to the Rivers State House of Assembly? So, in any way, there will be crisis, except behind the scene, some persons must work very hard to say, okay, Governor, you bring this. Yes, we know you now have the judgment. Let us see a way to work. But if we are going to follow the law, there will be crisis. There will be serious crisis. And I hope that we have people like that in Rivers State who are political, who can call the Rivers State House of Assembly, meet with the governor's side to see how